Hello, everyone. I've got the most amazing woman here today. Oh, I just love Dee to bits, Dee Taylor. And we've known each other for quite a while through Facebook, which I think this is why I love social media, because we can get to know each other. Even though it's virtual, we can often have conversations like we are now. So Dee is a business owner, and she calls herself Deirdre Taylor Executive Business Services. And I've actually had the pleasure of working with Dee as a virtual assistant. She's helped me. And I really wanted her to share her story in her own way as to why she does what she does and who she is in this world. And let me tell you a little secret. This is one of the first times, or the few that she's done, and because she's stepping out there. So let's welcome her and say, thank you, Dee. I really appreciate this because I feel comfortable doing this. So I want you to know I'm holding space for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chantal. Thank you so much for having me and for giving me the opportunity. I am that person in the background that makes sure that everything else goes okay. And I don't like the attention, but as you know, in this virtual space, we have to put ourselves out there, particularly if we want to grow our businesses. And growing my business is very important for my future and for me to realize part of the next phase of a dream I had when it was 2009. So this is me. Many years later, I am a firm believer in slow and steady wins the race. And so every year I need to push myself a little bit further.
You know what? I'm loving hearing this slow and steady, because I think a lot of us get into I know I have quick results, quick this, quick that, and we forget that it also needs to be slow and steady.
Yeah.
And are you willing to share the dream you had in 2009?
Yes, I will. I will start off by saying that when I was a young child, I always imagined that I would be in service to people somehow. Nursing, teaching, I particularly loved the concept of being a remedial teacher. Sign language is what I always imaged I would do. I was the eldest child of a single mom, and I had two siblings younger than myself. And of course, that comes with many challenges in itself. And I was not able to go and study. So after school, I had to go and work. And so, of course, many years later, I found myself in IT, corporate job, really enjoying what I'm doing and all of those types of things. And then I had a life-changing experience in 2009, on the 30th of April to be exact. And it felt as though every piece of who I am, it wasn't shaky ground. It literally was that rocked your world kind of experience. And then in June, it was actually the 25th of June, 2009, I had this dream about creating a foundation in South Africa. You see, my son, my middle son, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at the April of that year. And of course, while we navigated all of these things, I kept feeling like there was this nudge, this feeling inside of me that something different needed to be done. And so with that, I had the dream, and I got exactly what this needed to look like. But I also knew the part of the message that came from the dream was I needed to first get through that, because it was my experience that was going to help others. And at the time, I didn't understand it like that. We get caught up in this turmoil and this, oh, woe is me. And who wants to hear at that point, oh, there's something better at the end of this for you. There's a reason that this is happening to you. You don't want to hear those things, no. And you don't want to hear people tell you those things. And so, of course, I listened and I went ahead, and I went through the experience, and I felt everything that it was almost like it was shaping what was needed. Like I got the picture of what was needed in a sense. And so when my son finished his treatment and we were sort of discharged with follow-up appointments, I knew that at that point that I needed to get going. But it was again I was waiting on others. I kept waiting on others to be with me, to do this with me. And one day, and in waiting for others, what I found was that nothing was happening. And I just felt this push one day. I drove through to one of the people that I said that I'd asked to help me to do this with me. And I went and I said, are you in or are you out? Because this is going to be happening. Because I just felt that push. So the reason I started off with that experience was to tell you that that is one of the greatest lessons I learned in that year-long experience was patience. I was the most impatient person. I needed things to be done ASAP. I was that kind of person. But when you're in the hospital space, you have no control. And so I learned patience, but I also learned the other valuable lesson I learned was to ask for help if I needed it. I was a very proud person and I wouldn't ask for help because of what would people say. And so those lessons are some of the lessons that obviously I took into the organization that then eventually I ran my full-time job, but then I also then got people on board, obviously, and we got the organization registered. And it's amazing how all of that happened, because it was as though everything just fell into place. Everyone that needed to be there to make sure that it happened in terms of support, registering organization, creating documents that needed to be the lawyers. I mean, these people just came out of the woodworks and did it pro bono, and it just all fell into place. And that for me was really the first time that I can say that I really stepped into faith and just flowed with that faith. And just always trusting that it was going to be okay, because that was one of the messages. It was going to be okay. Whatever I do, I just needed to do it. I just needed to do it. That was the message.
Oh my gosh.
And then in 2014, so I stayed in my corporate job all that time, providing support. We did programs and things. I would go to hospital before work. I'd take off from work, my leave, things like that. I'd use all my free time to do the work of the organization because I felt like I needed to do it. In 2014, was the week before the 19th of October, because I handed in my resignation on the 19th of October. I again felt that it was time for another leap of faith. I didn't know what that looked like. In South Africa, it's very difficult for you to have one income families. The cost of living is so expensive. And I understood that my role in our family is to cover certain financial responsibilities as well. And it was a difficult decision for me because I needed to have faith that things would be okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what else did I have? I needed to also remember that before saving the world, going out and trying to save everyone else, charity begins at home with my family. And me doing what I'm planning to do was not supposed to negatively affect my family. But I did it anyway. I went and I did it anyway. And that was the 1st of January 2015. My 2015 year is obviously the year that I then started to volunteer for the organization full time. And that is where I sort of started the remote work, the ad hoc, to give myself an income, because I needed the flexibility to be able to fully immerse myself into the work of the organization. I felt like I needed to walk in the shoes of everyone so that I could completely experience what the organization needed from me. And I was very blessed through all that time. The message in the dream was, just do it, it will always be okay. And Chantal, we are now in 2023. and it has always been okay. In the 2 years that I then volunteered my time solely for the NPO, I got a real sense of what the need was for the community. And that made my business idea clearer. Okay. So what happens with my business is that obviously we provide remote support, typically seen as virtual assistants. And the reason that my business is primarily virtual and why I need to grow my business is because my business is going to be the vehicle that supports mothers like me in enabling them to work from wherever they are, sitting at the bedside of their sick child, but still being able to provide for their families in a meaningful way. And that essentially is why I do what I do. I seem to be good at the marketing and the being consistent and all of those things. They don't really have the time or energy for that, but they are able to do the work because I also then train them, basic skills. So I'm not an agency. All that I'm doing is I'm taking people that are like me and I'm saying to them, do you have a skill? If you don't have the skill, let me train you the skill. And then let me get as part of my business business case, my business model, let me find people or businesses who will be able to provide us then with laptops and things to provide so that you are able to provide for your family. So there's a much bigger picture involved in that. Entry-level work, intermediate work, they are very good at being able to do. I personally do a lot of the strategy things with clients, the tech kind of things with clients. So we've got typically I'd start with a brainstorming kind of thing. And then we've got implementation phase. And in the implementation phase, it's not just me who can support my clients. These women that I'm helping to feed their families, they are able to do a lot of the basic administration things. So for me, we almost like, and I always get the King Arthur and the knights around the table. For me, that's what we are. We are like this community. Inclusiveness is very important for me. And providing a space for people to feel that they have a sense of belonging.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Everything about what I do from a business perspective, from an organizational perspective, is to create a sense of belonging. And I do this. I do the same for my clients. One of my clients said that the thing that differentiates me is that I'm able to meet them exactly where they're at. If you are new and you're afraid of tech or whatever, and you just don't feel stupid because you have the space. I give the space where I'm able to then talk them through how to do what they need to do. So I can start with someone at what we would typically call a grassroots level, with no experience, not knowing what to do, and I can talk to senior leadership people. And I think that is one of the gifts that I have been given, and perhaps why maybe I was chosen for the experience.
I agree.
Because my big vision is to put African women businesses and African women on the map. Yeah. That's one of the visions that one of my coach has basically said to me, that is that's part of my purpose. And it scares you. It scares you. I'm sure that many of your listeners would have felt that fear, but I choose to do it anyway because
yes. Yeah, sorry, go on. I just got excited. I choose to do it anyway.
I choose to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And yes, I may not do it as quickly as others would like me to do, but I feel, and that's why I like that phrase, slow and steady wins the race, is because Frank Sinatra said it, I'm doing it my way.
Yeah, I love it. And you are a singer. Remember, you sang me a
God,
beautiful testimonial, because that was pushing your boundaries.
did I did I
Yeah,
did
and she
I
sent,
send the
yes, you did.
testimonial?
You sent me a beautiful song.
I can't remember that.
No, and I'm sure you can't because you were so, but you said, I was in tears when you said that to me.
Oh,
Because it was your
oh,
voice, it was your song, it was from your heart, it was your energy and vibration. And remember, we're
yeah.
looking at how could you perhaps at the time bring singing in somehow, whether
Yes.
because aren't you part of a choir, or there was something about singing?
I am not part of a choir, but I have there's been this feeling that I needed to create almost a theme song for my community in
Okay.
the organization.
Yeah.
It's the theme song that almost binds us in the way that when we sing it, there is an automatic feeling within each person whose kid is ill like that, for example, that it just brings you home. It just brings you it's that point of connection. And
Yes.
connection, that point of connection seems to be what's very important for me and who I am. And I want to share that. It's like that weaving together, that like but it's got something to do with binding.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And that I think is beautiful, because what I'm hearing, and I'm trusting, those who are listening to this too, will see that we all have a uniqueness. We all have something special, but it's about not only allowing it to come up, but what you are doing is allowing it to then be shown to the world. You're
Yeah.
creating visibility, like even though you like to be behind, and which in a way you are, but at the same time, you're also leading and bringing your
Yeah.
uniqueness in. So you're bringing the uniqueness of what happened with your boy, and
Yes.
then how this came about, and then bringing in how can I do a business that's different.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
loving this because I want really women, I suppose, and men, but women in particular, because it's taken me a while to get here, to know that we all have something magnificent to give the world. It's just that we don't believe in ourselves.
We do. We
And
do.
we
And I
might have
mean,
believed.
I'm sorry. And that is very much where I was. I wasn't confident. I had, I mean, I don't know where it all stems from. People like you will know it goes back to childhood traumas, probably.
Mm.
Um, you know, you don't believe that you can. And you don't feel worthy.
Yes.
And then something happens and you start doing something, and then you see how you affect people and how what you bring to people. And that's why I still find it very difficult for myself. I find it very difficult to explain the value of what I bring to clients. To put
Yes.
that into words, I can't get that. And so I always appreciate when my clients are able to give me a testimonial. I'm not one to just ask for that either.
Yeah.
But I feel almost as though, and this is the thing with the organization as well. It's always been about those who know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But of course, in this marketing, and you've got to find work and all that, people want to see what you're doing. They want to know what you're doing. So you can't be small. And I think what I'm being challenged to do is to step into the fullness and the
Yes.
expansiveness of who I am.
Yes.
And I'm taking it one step at a time.
But you know what? Having done both, having gone one way to another,
Yeah.
because like you, when I had, now coming back to like your confidence thing, it can also be
Yeah.
childhood, absolutely. But I knew for me, not only had it come from my childhood, but something when I had the car accident, it actually, I lost
Yes.
all of me. So I lost all my confidence because I couldn't
Yeah.
understand. I'd gone from this high functioning woman who was actually doing well in life and handled her
Yeah.
money and all that, to this
Mm.
absolutely nothing. So it's like I've had to rebuild myself. So like you said, but for me, and this is what I'm loving hearing about you is, and I want, again, people to hear who's listening, slow and steady. Because when I was in it, I suppose because I was in such a state of shock, I wanted to get out of it as fast as I could. I wanted to be back to the person who I was, because the person who I'd become in that moment, I didn't want to be there. So of course I
Yeah.
wanted it to rush. So I didn't at the time take enough time out to actually
Yeah.
heal properly. I've only done it the last 2 years, and it's been 14 years. And in a way, the pandemic gave me permission to step back and do the deepest healing that I needed to reconnect with my body, mind, and soul.
Yes.
And now I'm hearing, and this is why I make notes, and I've written it down slow and steady. That's what I've realized. So instead, because I want to know, who am I?
Yes.
I want to enjoy that space. I want to enjoy the journey now. So I'm no longer healing. I'm actually creating.
Correct. And it's about that present moment awareness.
Yes,
that's
right.
why slow and steady. Because if we, and that's what I learned through the experience with my son, right? 1 minute could be perfect. The next minute, he could be violently ill.
Yes.
Things just change so much. And so I needed to learn to appreciate the now.
Yes. Yes.
It was, after even today, after all these years, I mean, he is a 19-year-old. He graduated the other day. And even today, I find it difficult to make appointments for future because I want to go with how I feel in the moment. And so it conflicts with plans to go for a party or to go out for dinner or whatever. I need to be spontaneous.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you're right, because I had to learn to be, oh my God, this is so wonderful what you're bringing up, because I needed to learn to become spontaneous again too.
Yeah.
Because when you've been through something huge like we have, we lose sight, and this is what I've learned, we lose sight to see a future, we lose sight of hope. Yeah. Or what if something happens? So therefore, it's a lot easier. Okay, it is about present moment awareness, but we also can get stuck in there.
We can, correct.
So, like you, so as you know, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to visit you. So anyone who sees this will be most probably would have long done it. But with, Willem and I, my partner and I, organizing to go to Africa. Now it's going to be, what are we're interviewing now. It's going to be in 6 months' time. But I'm still like, should I put a deposit down? Oh, what if something happens? Because I still think like that rather than just going, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So like I'm unlearning to go, well, I want to do it. I'm going to bring it into focus for it to happen and to get excited again, to have fun.
Yeah. And when you feel it, it's like this interview. I mean, we spoke about doing this a couple of months back, and I never booked it because I didn't feel ready.
Yes.
So the day that I reached out to you and I said, Chantal, I'm ready to do it, that was when I felt it's now. And because I'm trying as much as possible to work within the flow of who I am as a person and who I am as a spiritual being, I need to feel it, and then I can act on it.
Yes.
I mean, my son going through what he did and our family experiencing what we did, it was a huge catalyst for my spiritual journey. It was, I don't know where I would have been, but I would have been in a completely different trajectory. Look, I loved my job and I loved the people. I loved everything about what I was doing. I just loved the dream more. Yes. And I wouldn't go back. I can't imagine where I would have been if I did not take the leap of faith. I almost have a prune. Do you guys call it prunes as well? Yeah. Or raisin. It feels like a raisin. It feels like I would have, like, the life would almost have been,
would have
shriveled.
Yeah, exactly. All the hydration, all the goodness. Yeah. Oh no, well, it's the yeah.
So it's lovely to eat, but but I feel like I would have been where I am in my life right now. I feel like I'm expansive. I feel like I am where I'm meant to have been. That's what it feels like. It feels like that's how it feels to me. Yes. And so I love everything. All these years later, it was the shake up for my wake up.
Oh, I like that. Yes. It was my shake up for my wake up. I love it. I love it. And the other thing I'm loving hearing you say as well, because in this world of the doing, the linear, the logic, the achieving, the striving, we've actually lost sight of, you said, I need to feel it and then act on it. So again, it's not only feeling it, listening to intuition, learning to, but it's actually acting on it.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
And I love the
I
fact that you waited, because I knew you would come when it was right, because that's what I'm learning now.
Yeah,
I've learned to say to people, no, I'll come when I'm ready.
exactly. I don't have to do it on anyone else's terms
That's it.
anymore. I don't have to do it because I'm a people pleaser. That is who I was.
Yes,
Now it's me first, because if I am not whole, if I am not feeling good, I am of no benefit to someone else.
that's it. That's it.
You know, charity begins at home. It starts with me.
Yes. That's it. And people, in the old days would go, oh, how selfish is that? So not only would someone think, oh, how selfish is Dee, but you think, oh my God, I can't do that. It's all about exactly right. And I think this is a beautiful paradigm that we are changing as women. And I'm also wondering as well, part of us who are getting older can then also teach the younger kids, or girls, children. I mean, I haven't had children, or younger ones might be a little
Yeah.
bit different too. But it's also about, come on, let's just do it all together. Let's show each other me
Yes.
first. It's okay. But I get to think it depends what me first, how that's
I was
interpreted
gonna,
too.
that's exactly what I was about to say. It was
Mm.
exactly. It definitely, the me first is all about, am I feeling within myself? Am I overflowing with joy? Am I overflowing with
Yes.
love? Am I
Yes.
overflowing? Am I able to give the best of me
Yeah.
that's overflowing? Because if it's that whole concept of, if my cup is not full, then I'm giving from an empty cup.
Yes.
So for example, if mothers who are breastfeeding, if they are busy breastfeeding their kids and they've got a very healthy diet and they're eating good food, whatever it is, then their milk is nourishing. If we don't look after ourselves, we're not eating properly and we're breastfeeding our kid, how um I almost want to say filtered is the milk.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the richness of the nutrients that the baby needs, essentially, in order for it to grow, for it to feel nutrition, be healthy, or whatever that is, you know. So it's very much about that. It's not, it's looking at it from that perspective, and it's not, oh no, I'm not going to do it because me first. It's not that. It's an act of love based on
That's it.
on
That's
where
it.
on what we're giving.
Love it. And the word that came through to me was nourished, nourishment,
Yes,
nourished.
yes,
So we're nourishing. So you've nourished the baby, but also it's about nourishing yourself, because, if you don't nourish yourself, you're depleted.
exactly,
As you said, then there isn't any
exactly.
goodness in there,
Yeah,
you know?
someone's going to be shriveling away. You're
Yes.
going to be shriveling away because you're giving, and there's nothing, no richness to it. Yeah, so that's basically the concept of it.
Love it.
It's not the selfishness that leads, where you lead from the head and not the heart.
Yes, yes. Lead from heart. That's exactly it. Not head.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Oh my God, I love it. This is so good. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you.
And I always take notes because it's always nice for me to remind. And plus, I anchor it in. So
Yeah.
we're is there anything else you'd like to add as we sort of slowly coming to the end? Is there anything you'd like to share, add, to this? Because I just think you've given no longer the people pleaser. I'm where I'm meant to be. That
Yeah.
is, I feel expansive.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I often find that we're faced with two choices. So with any situation, we're faced with the choice. We can either choose to go this way, one
Yeah.
way, or we can choose to go the other. One of them is a choice of fear versus
Yes.
one made based on love. And so before you make any choice, you need to check in with yourself. I mean, that's something that I learned. You need to check in with yourself. What is the situation trying to show me? So I'm too close to the tree. When I stand in front of a situation that's unfolding, when you stand too close to it, it's almost like you squint. You need to take a step back, and you almost need to unpack the emotions so that you can be the journalist. A friend of mine taught me this, and she said, take a step back, journal if you need to journal, unpack all the emotions, and then look at the situation from the perspective of being a journalist. A journalist is not invested in the story. So if you're battling with something, if you're battling to make a choice, if you're battling with situation, a conflict, whatever that is, always try to take the emotion out of it.
Yes, that's
it's
right.
not because you want to be cold and clinical. It's because you want the proper perspective.
I like that. I like that, because in a way it's like you're coming back to facts. You know, these are the facts.
It is.
Because I know for me, I had to learn something years ago when, you feel hurt by someone, right?
Yeah.
They've said something. What I had to learn was words are just words. It's what I do with those words. Yes, there might be tone of voice, and yes, there can be digs, absolutely. But it's a similar thing. You have to step away and take the emotion out.
You have to.
Take your story out and go, right, okay, let's just look at these simply as words.
Yeah. I used to call myself Julia Roberts in The Runaway Bride. I always say, I am the Julia Roberts in The Runaway Bride.
Yes.
I'm all invested, I'm going for this, and then I start backtracking and I run. Yeah. Figure out what's your runaway bride moment and then work on that.
Love it.
Work on that.
Love it.
And then choose to have faith.
Choose to have, I like that. What a beautiful way to end. Thank you. Oh my gosh, love it. I think choose to have faith is a really lovely way. So thank you. And coming from an act of love. And I think it was my shake up for my wake up.
Yeah.
For you to be here where you are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dee. Now, how can people contact you if they want to know more about you and your services? And everyone will be putting it in the description. So where can we find you, Dee?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook. I do prefer, because I keep my LinkedIn more updated than I do anything else. Yeah. So you'll find me on LinkedIn. My name, as you can see on the recording, my name, I've got an extra R. I've got it. My name is Deirdre. Okay. Most people spell it without the R before the middle D.
Yeah.
So that's who I am. And yes, I do offer complimentary virtual chats as well to anyone that would. You're welcome to schedule something with me. It's not about work. If you just want to have a chat, this is who I am today. I speak to people now, which I never did before, and I love sharing whatever comes up for us in the discussion. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, and I think that's really beautiful, because what I'm hearing is you're doing it because you can and want to now, and also to give others something that you were given through your own experience, and you can do that. And it's that lovely generosity of heart, yet you also know how to care for yourself as well. And that's the gift that you're going to be able to give so many other people, whether it be through your personal life, your charity, and then, of course, your work. How beautiful is that? Oh, thank you so much, Dee. Thank you, everyone. Any comments, welcome. We will, respond to you. If you've got any questions, ask. If you wish to share any of your stories there, whatever you feel safe with, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you, dear. I really loved our time together.
Thank you, Chantal. Me too.
Thank you.